I think Speed Project coming up will test a lot of people's mindset, mentality. Sure. The way I love that Courtney DeWalter explains why she does races to this day is that she views her brain as this cave, the pain cave. Mm-hmm. And with every race she does, it digs that pain cave out just a little bit more. She wants to find out, like, how big is that cave? And the only way you find out how big that cave is through endurance and patience. Mm-hmm. You can't go and throw like this stick of dynamite in this cave and it blows up and you find the other end. The only way is by race after race, mile after mile, step after step. And every time you dig that cave out a little bit deeper, a little bit larger, it builds more confidence. And the ability to extract that confidence and apply it to courage becomes a little bit easier and easier and easier. So for most people, they just have to get started.
Absolutely.
And then once you get started, start digging. Find out how big that pain cave is. Find out what your potential looks like. But you'll never know without that first step and that first dig.
I think what's really interesting with running and endurance, because I've listened to a lot of podcasts when people do endurance events, like marathons are hard. Also, marathons are they're different because they're almost at speed, whereas with an ultra, the pace is slightly different. You're out there for longer. It's more of a journey. Marathons are really difficult.
Marathons are hard. Ultras are painful.
Do you know what? Honestly, I had a really rough experience with my first marathon. I bonked at 27 kilometers, which is just over halfway. And I had to walk.
Was it your first?
It was my first.
That happened to be my first too.
And the training was great. The training block was fantastic. I think I put quite a lot of pressure on myself for that first marathon. And my first marathon was only last October. So I did 100K before I did a marathon race. Loved the 100K, which made me want to do more endurance races and things like that. I did Chester Marathon and I have never bonked so hard in my life. I think it was just a mixture of everything. But as I said, I put a lot of pressure on myself. I think externally from other people as well, which I've taken forward to learn not to do. A lot of outside voices being like, you can do this time, you can do that. I don't want to be an elite runner. That's not what I want to do. If I just wanted to run and just train for marathons, I would do that. And I try and go really, really hard at it. But I don't. I want to have a shit ton of muscle. I want to be able to run marathons well, but I don't want to be the best. I just want to test myself. And I never will be the best at marathons or bodybuilding or powerlifting or swimming or cycling. But if I can dabble in all of them, that is good enough for me. Because a lot of people put the pressure on a high rock example, the new thing that I've added into the mix. A lot of people are like, but you can make like the top 15 in the world. Yeah, but I don't want to because I still want to be able to run marathons, run ultras, like powerlift competitions randomly. I want to be able to do everything rather than just do one sport, because I'm not interested in just doing one sport anymore. It's not me. I'm too passionate about testing my body. As Courtney said, loved her podcast when she was speaking about the pain cave because it is so interesting to me. I don't want to win those races. I'm not that extreme with it. I wouldn't go down that route. If I can do so many different sports and experience so many different things, that is good enough for me. It's the external pressure that sometimes I get really carried away with and it puts me off completely. And I know it shouldn't because I'm quite an experienced athlete. But when you have thousands of people on social media saying, well, you can do this time, I'm like, but that's not where I'm at. Like, I'm training for an ultra and a marathon and high rocks and a multitude of things. Don't put that external pressure onto me. Like, I don't want to lose the love of what I do now, because I lost the love for swimming, and that's so sad to me. When I quit swimming, I hated it, and it was my whole world. Like, it was just absolutely everything to me. It got to the stage where the pressure was too much. I literally hated it and had to quit. It got too much. If this ever happened with what I do now, being hybrid and running and doing this multitude of sports, I'd hate that. So I want to keep the passion in there as much as possible, and just don't add too much external pressure, because I'm not the best with pressure.
I do believe that a lot of times the loud noise that comes from those situations and those people are from individuals who focus on specialization. Mm-hmm. And when you focus on specialization, it's really easy to lose perspective. Like the elite runners, like when I first started hybrid training, people who were elite runners wanted to dog on me all the time because I was trying to run faster marathons. Mm-hmm. And they didn't have the perspective that I still wanted to balance strength and endurance. So they're like, why don't you just stop lifting weights, lose all your muscle, and you run faster? Because I don't want to do that. And then the opposite side of individuals who specialize in strength, they're like, hold on, like you're running now, you're going to burn your muscle and lose size and strength. You need to stop doing that because their perspective says strength is the only way.
Yeah.
And the endurance athlete says endurance is the only way. And this is not just applicable to training and fitness, but the entire world. Mm-hmm. People lose touch with perspective and self-awareness, and they think their way is the way. There's no other way to see it. And it's a really dangerous place to be. Now, I know you started as a swimmer.
Yeah.
I actually just finished one of your podcasts. It was the one where your mom got brought on the podcast and you didn't know she was coming on.
That was great.
And it was a surprise, and you guys were talking about your unhealthy relationships with food and your eating disorders, and your background was swimming. So going from swimming, and then what I love that you said, what was hard about transitioning out of swimming was that you're so used to this routine. So going, and I think a lot of collegiate athletes go through this, a lot of professional athletes go through this. You live this life where you're constantly training, eating, living, breathing the sport. It is your identity.
Yeah.
And when that ends, you lose your identity and you feel the need to keep training, eating, living like you were a professional athlete. I mean, there's two things that happen. One, you keep living that same lifestyle. Two, you stop everything and you become like...
You're going the other way. You're going the other way.
It's not a good direction. And then you found kind of strength and endurance and hybrid training, and now you're competing in high rocks. I would love to just hear, like, overall what that evolution of training has looked and felt like for you. And more importantly, where and why and how you had the courage to explore these curiosities. Mm-hmm. Because so many people find their lane and they want to stay in that lane because they lack the perspective of there's more out there that I could pursue that I enjoy in a better way.
Yeah, for sure. Swimming was 18 years of my life. My whole life was swimming. As you said, it was my identity and it's all I really knew. So when we dabbled in the gym, the smallest amount, like S&C, really specific work when we were swimmers. But, we do pull-ups, we do a little bit of like box jumps and that sort of thing. So
explosive type training?
Explosive type training, like very much like how you dive off the block or how it can mimic swimming and things like that, and all these mad exercises we did. So when I stopped when I was 18, I was like, naturally, I need to continue training 9 days a week, but in the gym. And I was because it was that routine, I didn't want to eat the same amount because I knew I wasn't expending enough calories. And bear in mind, I should note, when we were swimming, it was very, very strict. So we had nutritionists. We were weighed before and after most sessions, which is 9 times a week. So you're weighed twice a day before and after your session. I had body...
that sounds like a catalyst for an eating disorder right there.
I say this is why I think a lot of athletes, especially young women, do stem into eating disorders, unfortunately, as well, but when they leave competitive sport. So I had my body fats measured from the age of 14. Bear in mind, 14, you're literally a child. That is so young. But this was the norm. This was completely normal. And I think as well, for my eating disorder specifically, one of the girls, because we used to get weighed in front of everyone else, which is also awful, in front of like your peers and coaches and nutritionists, and they used to shout out your weight and they used to write it down. One of the girls shouted out, "Oh, Lucy's anorexic," and that stuck with me. When I quit swimming, I was like, oh, I'm going to continue to train 9 days a week. I'll do fasted cardio in the morning and I'll do weights at night. I'll just drop my calories a little bit. eating disorder completely
nine
naturally
sessions a week?
Yeah, I just fasted cardio in the morning, weights at night, 15 sets in the gym. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Social media not as big back then. I didn't really know who to turn to. There was also no one to turn to because I didn't know anyone who had quit sport and just gone into the gym. I didn't know what I was doing. So I'm very confused, lost my identity, lost all my friends as well. I didn't lose my friends, but all I had was swimming people. And then going to university, everyone's drinking. I was like, I don't want to drink. I found the gym and it was a safe space for me, but I was just doing bodybuilding. So like I had an arm day, which makes me just feel a certain type of way now. Like I had an arm day, I had a chest day, leg, complete bro split in the gym. And I just did that and I started...
Arm days. I remember arm days.
Arm days, like biceps and triceps in one gym session. And I just trained like a bodybuilder completely. And the cardio started to slowly get less. I used to do the Stairmaster a lot. The eating disorder started to get better and better, but this is over like a 3 or 4 year period at university. And the reason it started to get better is because I became very, very aware of it in terms of if I continue with this trajectory, my life is going to be fucking awful. I was very, very self-aware because people say like, how did you get over it? Who did you speak to? I was like, I didn't speak to anyone because there was nobody to speak to back then. And I felt very, very embarrassed. It wasn't spoken about like it is in this day and age on social media. I had no one to talk to. So I started posting on Instagram. My Lucy Eliza Davis then changed to Lucy Davis Fit as I'll just document my progress. I'll see how I go. People liked that. Bear in mind, those people didn't know I had an eating disorder. I never shared it. I was just posting like my transformations or, don't know, propping my phone up in the corner of the gym, doing the bodybuilding style of things. And it wasn't till COVID hit. So I'd just done bodybuilding for like 3 years straight. Not really any forms of cardio. I thought I've done the cardio, tick the box, swimming's done. I don't need that anymore. Just did bodybuilding. So my cardiovascular fitness dropped massively. Like didn't run at all, maybe a couple of 2Ks. And I thought, I'm absolutely gassed. Like this is so hard. COVID hit and all the gyms shut. I naturally started running again. But I was like, okay, that was a 5K tick. I'm going to try 10. I'm going to go into the 10K. And then I did 15K. And then I signed up for the 100, like not far after, because I was like, my body can still do these things. And bodybuilding got a little bit boring for me. I still think it's great if people just bodybuild. But I wasn't getting the same drive or push, or it didn't feel as hard as I don't think that I was capable of. And I thought, I'll try running. And my God, when I first started running, I was so robotic. I felt so out of sorts running. I didn't know how to run.
We have a very similar story.
I was very like, Ben was like, relax your shoulders. And I was like, I don't know how to run. I feel very uncomfortable. I can't get into it. But I was like, I need to push through this uncomfortable stage because I'm really bored of my training and it's not giving me that hard drive or the challenge that I'm after. Started the running, drunkenly signed up for the 100K, which is the best thing I ever did. Smashed the 100K. It was amazing. Hard, completely. Loved it. And I thought, do you know what? Endurance, I'll dabble in that. I do tell people as a transparent thing, I did swim for 18 years. So naturally, I think running, the lung capacity and the heart rate and things like that was probably maybe a little bit easier if you've just gone straight from bodybuilding into running. But overall, why would you not want to try loads of different sports? It's exciting. I've tried them all. Gymnastics, cycling, swimming. I'm really crap at some of them, but I've tried it. Some stick, some don't. I did one powerlifting competition after my 100K. Hated it. But I just wanted to try it. I wanted to try and get into a weight category. I wanted to see what all the fuss was about. Never again would I do a powerlifting competition. And I was very uncomfortable actually in that sphere of people, because if you've ever done a powerlifting competition, they're very rogue, they're very different, they're very out there. And I just kind of turned up, I was like, oh my God, this is terrifying.
It's intimidating.
I've never felt so intimidated. I also was probably the weakest because I wasn't a power lifter. I only did bench as well. I didn't do deadlift or squats. I just did sole bench, just like 70 kilos. I was like, whoa, this is... And then some girls lifting 120. But I didn't care about being the shittest in the room. I gave it a go. I gave it my best go. Realistically, I didn't like it. And that's all you can do. If you're giving it your best, you either love it or hate it and carry on with it.